Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
I'm Chemda.
Just got my voting pen over here. Not to brag, just making some notes. Did you know who to vote for and what to do, Chemda?
I thought I did after speaking to Bianca, and she sent us a little list of things, and I thought I could cheat that. And I got there, and I was completely lost. Called Keith because he had already voted, and we both were talking to Bianca. So I thought, he's got the answers. Not fast enough because I went last minute, spoke to my brother Michael. He's like, here's how this person feels. Here's how this person feels. I'm like, got it. So I think I did okay.
I, of course, get the Democratic ballot, and I go females with the most ethnic names. I'm in and out. Don't mess
around. They will
around.
be so proud of themselves.
KeithandTheGirl.com/chat every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We come in, say hi, and we play poker. We'll explain everything when you join. Be part of that. It's so much fun. We just had our poker tournament championships.
A championship, yeah.
That's right. If you took out me or Chemda, you got a shout out on the show. So Mark took me out, so I'm waiting for his shout out. I took out Chemda, and I've been dedicating an hour a day since then to work on what I want my shout out to be, and I'm getting very, very excited. Third place was Gendar of the Dragon People, I assume. Number 2, Snicky, and first place went to Isaac, who after he won said, "I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little shit-faced today." So a little insult to injury, right? But congrats. So yeah, now's a good time to join poker too, because it's a brand new season, if you will.
Yeah, and you can also, of course, come to the chat and not play poker. It's an option. It's free. Otherwise, we're just chatting along.
We have a new guest for you today. I'm very excited. He has a fantastic podcast called Character Debates. And comedians come on and they play the role of somebody. For example, the latest one that's up now is Aladdin debating against the genie over how many wishes a person should get. Also a great comedian. Hello, Michael Harrison. How you doing?
Hey, Keith. How you doing, buddy?
Good. I know that my girlfriend Kyle recently did your show, Character Debates.
Yeah.
And what was her role? Because that show didn't come out yet.
I know. Your girlfriend played, a Florida mom? And She went up against a trans-curious guy, and they argued if men should have rights over women's bodies.
Oh, boy.
So it was sort of funny because Drew Dunn, who's one of the cast members, he played the trans-curious guy, and he's trans-curious because he wants to transition to a woman, but is scared because women are losing rights. So he was on the side that men shouldn't have control of women's bodies, and the Florida mom is just a crazy right-wing, Mallory Green Pass type of fan, or Malpass.
Knows that men are smarter and should have more control, right?
Yes, exactly. As they call them nowadays, trad wives, right? So she played a typical trad wife.
Is the timing of Roe versus Wade being overturned going to mean this show's never coming out?
No, it's coming out next.
Oh, is it? Okay.
We're now speeding it up. We're like, oh man. I'm upset we didn't release it. This past one? But our editor was on vacation, so we couldn't get it done. But
I like that
that's absolutely the next one.
You're definitely picking up weird sound bites for comedians. Like I'm sure Kyle on her own would never say any of that stuff out of that character.
She's hilarious. She's so funny. That's honestly why I love my podcast. I created it because I wanted comedians to be able to say whatever they wanted. So in character, you're not responsible for what your character says. That's why we've had Baby Hitler on an episode. He would say whatever he wants. Like we don't want comedians to be canceled on these opinions because they're obviously not their own opinions. But I pick the topics, I pick the characters, then I tell them ahead of time. And then they come in knowing very well what their side is, and they have to make that side work against.
I wonder how much of your audience is confused by the improvisation of it. Like maybe this is actually a person who has those opinions, because they are speaking for people who have those opinions. They have to gather their material from real life people. So I wonder how many people are like, yeah, I'm on the Florida mom side. And meanwhile, Kyle is saying the most absurd things that you could think of. And have you considered this, that at the end, the person who wins the debate gets AIDS? Like, just, that's, would you rather? And the answer
Kill
is
off all these characters right at the end of my episode.
Also, if I was playing baby Hitler, I would always be like fake ducking because someone's always coming from the future to try to kill me.
That
Like,
was what the episode was about.
Yeah.
The episode was Doc Brown from Back to the Future versus baby Hitler.
Oh, that's great.
Should time travel exist?
Does Hitler just
Right?
keep
So you're
saying,
right.
look how cute I am?
I know, right? But it also goes down to like baby Hitler doesn't know what he did in the future. So he's like, I don't know why all these strange men come from the future to try to kill me. It's very big into infanticide, I tell you, in the future.
He just keeps drawing buildings.
Yeah, right. It's like, look at the drawings I do. I think I have a future.
It is funny what you can get away with being a character. For example, I saw Ricky Gervais's last stand-up, and there are some things in it where I'm like, oh, Ricky. But I guarantee if he gave the idiot character that line on one of his TV shows, I'd be like, God damn, that's hilarious.
Right. Exactly. You get away with way more. So the idea to enhance our comedic possibilities as comics, enter their character and they could totally focus in on and explore, opinions they're not familiar with, but also satirize them in the moment. They could say the most ridiculous things to more educate you that this is why this side's ridiculous. So you get that opportunity. And this goes both ways. It goes with the left as well, right? The left have absolutely a lot of ideas that are insane as well that like we're able to satirize. But we satirize everything, we try to keep it, general. For instance, like even when we were doing Baby Hitler versus Doc Brown, one revelation that came up through that episode is that we couldn't believe how similar Doc Brown was to Hitler, because in the end, all he wanted to do was change the future to his own liking.
I see,
like that was so. In the weirdest sense, we come across power as a thesis in that episode, and we didn't even see that parallel coming up.
What's interesting?
Sorry?
What if that's actually the truth? And the truth is that everybody was trying to come back and kill babies and hit because Passover is all about killing the firstborn. What if Hitler dodged that? I mean, that was too long ago, Passover, but what happens if that's why he turned evil?
Everybody was trying to kill him. Yeah, he's like,
right?
Now it's my turn. Yeah, absolutely. By the way, speaking of the abortion topic, people loved to hear. I mean, love to hear is a weird word, but the Betsy story yesterday.
Yeah.
So you saw that, and I saw on Facebook that it seems like this is one of her friends, Christine, said, "Well said, Betsy. I can relate." And Betsy wrote back, "I had no idea that you could relate." I'm taking it as if they know each other, but the world we live in. Even if it's legal, it's still stigmatized, and so nobody's telling anybody.
Yeah, this is very, very new that people are just like, yeah, I had an abortion, are saying it anecdotally, just live in person, recorded, put out to the masses. I remember over a decade ago, Keith mentioned my abortion and I just froze. And he's like, what, didn't we say that on the show already? And I'm like, well, we did now. And that was the first time I spoke about it on a show in public. And we got a flood of emails saying that people relate. They also did. And it's, it is what it is. And I was like,
Keith's a hero, right?
Don't push it. But I was like, right. There's no need to be embarrassed. But it just reminds me that even when it was legal, it wasn't fun. Not every doctor was on your side about it. Not everybody was thrilled to see you. It was very weird.
It's very stigmatizing. That's funny. Even a revelation with myself, I surprisingly watched Dirty Dancing way late, 3 years ago. Right. And so obviously when I see the abortion thing come up in that movie, I was like, oh my God, they talked about that back then. I was blown because I'm like, nowadays, have an honest conversation about it. It just doesn't, other than recently, it just never ever felt like that was happening. The common people avoided that. It was like that didn't even exist. We made up our minds, but all in all, there's this huge side they came against it.
Well, Chemda brought up, if people quote the Bible in regards to why you shouldn't have abortions, you're misquoting it, and you should get some kind of a penalty.
Yeah.
Right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, don't quote the Bible to me. That's, you're quoting Star Wars, which is fine and fun, but
you're quoting talking animals.
Yeah, you're quoting a mushroom trip, and honestly, that's like quoting, people's dreams and shit. Like you can't do that with me. At least I don't believe in your book. I think that's silly. But also, if you're quoting the Bible, you're misquoting it so much, and you're taking it. The Bible also, like, doesn't it contradict itself later? So many times. So you're quoting where you want to quote it, but have you really read the Bible?
You could tell that sometimes the next writer didn't read the previous writer's work.
Yeah.
Right? Matthew and John did not take the time to give a fuck.
But also you're supposed to read a book before you quote it. You can't just quote shit. That's got to be like part of your, people have quotes in their email at the end. And don't you have to know at least about the person who you're quoting or some kind of background? I feel like you're just quoting a thought.
There's so many religions in the United States. It's amazing that they chose one to keep quoting. You know what I mean?
And you did the one that has a chapter called Genesis. It's right in the beginning, so you wouldn't even get bored with this book yet necessarily, assuming you skipped all the begats. Life begins at first breath. Okay, so it is in there for what it's worth. All I know is you can't claim an unborn child on your tax returns. That's all I know.
Life begins at taxes in the U.S.
Right.
That's funny. I'm from Canada, so it's like obviously, I mean, you saw that Justin Trudeau quickly responded and said our country would never do something, and this is a horrible decision, because that's what Canadians like to do. We always like to say that we're better when we get the opportunity.
Sure.
Which makes a lot of Americans all of a sudden say they want to immigrate to us right away. But yeah, it's fascinating growing up in Canada. And yet again, this argument just never comes up because religion has I've never heard a politician in Canada tell me what religion they are. This is so weird to come to this country to consistently see people tout what their religion is. I thought that was like a personal thing, but here you guys make it very public, and then you make the issues about it very public, and you respond by using the book as rhetoric. It's very fascinating. It's something I'm not used to myself.
Have you ever had to or come close to making the decision about abortion?
No, I haven't. Yeah, I'm on the side of guys have no ability to make that decision for women. That's and even in that case, I wouldn't assume that would be my decision.
I see that if you're in the military, you are able to get an abortion, but so it's like, oh, you want to get an abortion? All right, then you have to kill everything.
No kidding. Okay?
That's because in the Army you can go an eye for an eye.
Yeah.
Right.
How many kills you got? That's how many abortions you can have.
Speaking of religion, another Supreme Court case. The Supreme Court on Monday ruled in favor of a Washington State football coach who sought to kneel and pray on the field after games. Guess the religion, it probably wasn't Muslim, right? Okay. The court ruled 6-3 along ideological lines that former high school football coach Joe Kennedy's prayer was protected under the First Amendment.
Remember when someone knelt down just to say, hey, black people count, and the whole world went crazy? Yes. And now he's kneeling down to pray, but that's okay? Like, isn't that sort of similar, but without the actual fake person in the sky?
The Constitution and the best of our traditions counsel mutual respect and tolerance, not censorship and suppression, for religious and non-religious views alike. What would the non-religious kneeling be? I don't know, but I guess Kaepernick.
Also just a football game, right? Like, isn't that right? I don't even understand how religion's really connected to football. Was that in the Bible? Does anyone have specified? Did it come up that he was a big?
What?
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there was anywhere where he's like, yeah, honor me at sports, please. Like that's also the place I need to be, talked about, because I love having that dude demographic pushing for me.
What was the kneeling? Like, this is him kneeling, or this
He's
is him
praying. He's saying a Christian prayer.
Yeah.
And what the hang up is, it would be for me, I have to do this now because I'm not going to be looked favorably on the team. Maybe by other players, definitely by the coach.
So I had this when I was on tour for singing. Before, this is how L'chaim came about for this show. Before every show, the band got together, held hands, and said a prayer. And I'm like, this camaraderie is cool. Like, I like being like, okay, let's have a good show. And that's really all they were saying. Let's have a good show. Let's, just nice things. Like, we hope that everything works out.
Hopefully your God is into the arts and not football.
You know what this reminds me of, though, is when I was young, I played hockey, and we were so bad for almost the whole season. I'm pretty sure my coach was like worried about his job because he made the whole team pray before one match. So whenever I hear like a coach praying before a game, it reminds me of like, oh, he doesn't think he's gonna win. He really needs that extra player out there.
Did you win that one and prove him right?
Yeah, right. Maybe this will work because it's not my coaching. I don't know. Let's go with this.
Well, when that was happening, I mean, you were a kid, so I don't know if you had like much to say about it. I'm a grown adult, and I get like what you're saying, Keith. Now you feel like you have to do it. Well, I'm into we're grateful to be in the city. We're grateful to be on the show. We hope the show goes well, but I'm not into saying amen at the end. So I started saying L'chaim and also nobody knows who's God. Like, the main guy that we were singing with was Rastafarian. So are we praying to Haile Selassie? Like, what's happening? So if you want to pray on your own, like, you don't know that I'm not praying before every meal. I'm not giving gratitude. I'm not doing whatever. Do your own thing. It's the mandating other people to do it. It's the you're out of the club if you don't kneel, if you don't have this response. That's what's like crossing boundaries.
Kennedy was put on leave in 2016 after he continued to pray, despite being told by the school district the policy doesn't allow that. I'm just grateful that this long, hard fight is finally over, he said. We won. Now he can sue the school, is what I'm guessing.
Oh, shit.
The district told Kennedy his prayers could not be conducted alongside students, and that any of his personal religious observances needed to be done in such a way that they could not seem as encouragement. Asked why he didn't pray privately after being told to do so, the coach said, "What kind of message does that send? That I should hide who I am and my beliefs?"
Yeah. I wonder, like, if he prays, does that add extra time to the game? Like, do they only have the field for 2 or 3 hours? And they're like, all right, we better cut 2 minutes off the play time. Dude's praying again.
He tries to kill time on the clock. Like, what are you going to do? Stop me?
Time out for prayer. Time out. We need prayer.
Tell God not now. After the school district warned him to stop in 2015, he's in his own locker room. That's when he started doing it publicly on the field. Kennedy said Monday that he was hoping for a call that his job was waiting for him. I'll be on the first flight as soon as they say that I can come back.
I get why he's fighting for this, because he's having his own personal prayer time. There's something about it, obviously, that is crossing boundaries. Like, it doesn't feel like he's having his own personal experience. It feels like what they're pushing back on is you're encouraging other people to do it. That we're not, is this a Muslim prayer? Do you have any Muslim people do you have any Jews on your team? I mean, I know in football that's not really huge, but could be.
I'm looking at the team right now, by the way, in a picture where he was praying on the field, and not seeing too much diversity.
Yeah.
By the way, this makes me think of Michael's joke where he's like, we had one black kid in our school, and dodgeball was tough.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody wants to hit him.
Yeah,
he just wants to be included. Like, come on, guys, try to knock me out. It's like, I'd rather you do it, Bob.
Yeah, it's not that era anymore. You're gonna.
I don't want to be on this dude's side or anything. But kneeling down and praying before a game feels okay. If this feels extra for some reason, which is why it's making it into. Because people are way into praying before things. So it's interesting that this is brought up, no?
Yeah, you're right.
I think it's unfair. Like I said, because of I understand what you're saying, but because as a kid you have to do it. You have to do it. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's right.
No, the kids having to do it is not right.
Well, that's the thing. Asked if he felt that his public prayer could have put pressure on any of his students, he said he knew that hadn't been the case. Meanwhile, at least one of the students said, "Yeah, it's the fucking case."
Yeah. Where do you guys see the snowballing?
What's that?
Where do you see the snowballing?
Oh, that it's
like when you look at the event that doesn't really need religion, period around it. Does this snowball into other events? You think?
Praying in schools,
monster truck,
all that, yeah.
Prayers.
Oh, I see. There'll be prayers everywhere, sure.
Right, well, but that's what I mean. It's also just a weird, like I say, it's a weird venue to do it before a game that's somewhat violent, I'd say. So if you're gonna have it there, like where does that snowball? Where does that go? By making this a ruling, like now people want to enforce this wherever. What about like even religions that pray like 13 times a day? In a span of a football game, that's like 3 prayers they need. For certain religions.
Yeah, we only like the religions where you pray once.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's see. Telling someone they need to do it, to pray, is just as bad. Oh, so he's saying he didn't force the kids to do it, but again, you are, I think. Telling someone they need to do it is just as bad as telling them that they can't do it. Okay. At least one player anonymously reported that he felt he would lose playing time if he didn't join in the coach's prayer. Of course, you're the one outcast on the side.
And also remember how much kids are afraid, like if they're praying to a different person or they're, because your religion is already scaring you into, if you don't do this religion right, you're not going to get whatever you're supposed to get and be where you're supposed to be. Now this coach is asking you to pray to this other God, which is sacrilege for your religion. And that's pretty scary when you're threatening kids with hellfire and shit like that.
Funny enough, Church of Satanism is actually tax exempt in America because it's now classified as a religion here as well. So yet again, if you had a coach that wanted to practice hellfire, then other people don't want to do that, like, whereas is there a boundary on which religion, like obviously it's just too vague. Every piece of this is too vague, and it's clearly coming from a ruling of Supreme Court justices who, I don't know, they're over the top about Christianity.
Well, they're actually now talking about mixing religion and mixing church and state. We have separation. They're talking about taking that away. And, after seeing the Roe versus Wade thing, I think it could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other news is Ghislaine Maxwell has been sentenced for carrying out the years-long scheme with her longtime confidant, Jeffrey Epstein, to sexually abuse underage girls. 20 years. Well, you don't want to give too much. That's a long time. You don't want to give too much. Yeah. You were letting somebody rape these girls. You're the one who found the girls, gave them to Jeffrey and his pervert friends. But 20 is plenty. And time served, I hope. Because let's not get crazy. Jesus Christ. Yeah, you had kids get raped. I think 20's fine. I don't want the death penalty. That'd be nuts. I don't want you in jail forever. That'd be crazy. You still got to live your life.
Was there also a financial something?
I don't know that.
How young is she?
Nice question.
That's how you say it about women. I don't know, but she can still live her life a little.
Age. I'm sorry, you're right. How very, very old is she?
She's got to be like 60, right?
I'll say 63.
Okay, Michael, what are you saying?
We're gonna ballpark this?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with 61. I think.
60 is the answer. 60.
All right. I win. Well, that just means like she gets out if she lives till 80. So
yeah,
I know that Keith, you don't like these consolation prizes of
it.
Yeah, I know.
I hate it.
Stop.
Because these people still have money tucked away somewhere.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a fine life at 80 then. I want to ask you this, Michael. Tell me if I heard this right. In your stand-up, I saw you had almost like a quick line about when you talked about you and your brother that you learned when you were 20 you had a different father than you knew about. Is this correct?
He did, not me. I had the
your
right
brother
father.
did.
He had a different father.
He had a different father. You didn't.
Yeah. It was actually 18. That was 18. Yeah, 18. That was a thing. It was freaking. That's a weird scenario. I haven't talked to my dad. I think I've talked to my dad maybe 5 times in the last like 15 years. We had a big falling out over it. You know, it was. I mean, that's just a rough scenario. Period.
And this is the father that raised you both.
Know your parents lied to you your whole life.
This is the father that raised you both. Was your brother calling him dad without knowing?
No, my whole family knew but me and my little sister. So
wait, what was your brother?
Yeah, they just all Truman showed us, and I grew up not knowing my relationships. Right?
What was your brother calling your father?
Call him dad. You know, he stuck to the lie. You know, like he knew. My dad, I think, started raising him when he was 6.
Okay.
6 or 7. Yeah. So, and then my older sister, who was 3 years older than my brother. So both of them. And then I also had a younger sister. But
I'm gonna ask maybe an obnoxious question, right? Like you found out when you were 18.
Do it in character.
I get the shock, but really, does it matter? I mean, you're being a bitch.
Please, Dr. Phil, if you can. It'll be more seamless.
Well, I'm wondering if it's like parents who adopt kids. Like, when do you tell them? I think now we're realizing just fucking tell them, right? You know, it's still the same. But I wonder why they waited. Maybe they wanted you to just be a family, and they were scared to, like, what made it be a falling out instead of a shock and a coming back?
I think it was just his response. He just ignored, you know, and he said whatever. And like, obviously didn't honor my feelings. So to a degree, get hurt. I mean, it was really absurd when it all happened, because I remember I went to my grandparents' place. I just like was out in Toronto. So I was like, oh, visit my grandparents who raised my dad. And he sat at a table with them, and they had all these pictures of family up above the dining table. And there was like this one girl I didn't recognize. I was like, oh, who's that? And they're like, oh, it's your sister. And I was like,
oh, God.
Sister? And they're like, yeah, Erin. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And my grandma was like, Dad didn't tell you? And I was like, no. And that's where I found out I had another sister.
Man, nobody
Ontario that my dad was ignoring and it cut off. And then I met her a few days later while I was out there, and I have a great relationship with her now and my nieces. But yeah, I flipped my lid. I got so angry. I called him up and I was like, you know, obviously, what's going on? Why have I been lied to my whole life? Like, what is this? How can you guys face me and not tell me? You know, and then to further on more, find out that you're right. My older brother and older sister turned out to be halves with different dads. You know, it was extremely upsetting, you know, because you're like, you all knew and you didn't tell me nothing. Like, and I just find out myself, you know?
Well,
like,
no, including grandma for some reason. Wouldn't you be a little nervous that?
Yeah, my dad stopped talking to her too, his mom and dad, for a while. So He was very upset the day they let it out. And I was just like, you know, it just became a horrific family event. But yeah. That was.
So am I getting this right? So you grow up with the mom and dad. It's that dad that isn't really your dad.
No.
That dad is my dad. So what happened is, I guess my mom was married to another guy and had my older brother and older sister, the halves. Okay. And my dad had one himself with another woman. So my mom, you know, splits up, whatever, meets my dad, who's still with the other woman. And then she wants to go back to Saskatchewan. So he just breaks off with his marriage, lost a bunch of property in his divorce, and moved to Saskatchewan, where they had me and had my sister. So it was like a whole new life situation in Saskatchewan from Ontario, Canada. And yeah, then they raised me and my sister like we were all together in the same gene pool, you know?
Is there, do you ever think about when people talk about nature versus nurture? Mm-hmm. Do you see anything there?
How so? Explain.
Are you and your siblings kind of the same because you were raised in the same house?
No, very different. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'd say so. My older brother has done a lot of illegal things and doesn't even talk to my mom. I mean, there's so much family strife in my family, but yeah, he's heavily into drugs, stuff like that. Impregnated women that he's tried to avoid, stuff like that. You know, he's been through the court system. And my older half sister is a doll, absolute doll. She's, you know, raising family. She's extremely like the most well-to-do person, definitely mentally. Like she takes care of everything. She's ahead of the game. She's
And these
very
are both
organized.
These are both the siblings that you grew up with?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
My other one that I didn't know, she's great. She's a teacher and married another teacher. So my nieces are just so smart, you know, and well-behaved. You can tell a teacher is raising them. Man, meet kids that are raised by two teachers. Jeez, they're very, you know, they listen, they're very attentive, very bright. So,
but I wonder this whole nature versus nurture thing, me growing up, I have an older brother and a younger brother. My older brother and I have always been very different. There's only a 1.5 year difference between us. But even as kids, he would stay clean. He would eat very clean. He wouldn't get anything messy on his face. And like as a personality is why I'm saying it. And for me, my mother said she always had to clean me after 8. Everything's all over me. And that's sort of how we lived our life. And I tend to be more bohemian than him. He tends to be more straight. And we grew up exactly the same. The difference is, though, our parents treat male and female different. So I don't know. Does that, but it seems like he was out of the womb with that personality. So I don't know that it has to do with that.
That's fair too. Plus, I think there was possible trauma also with my older half brother, older half sister with the dad that never came back for them. That was with my mom. So I think they're also affected by that, in which, you know, it could have changed how their actions are.
And holding a secret.
Yeah.
That'll do something to you, holding a secret.
Yeah, I don't understand any of that. As a guy who's like so open and, you know, you're being taught honesty growing up, it is very like, it just, I don't know, it confusing. It's upsetting.
Did you like your father before you found this out?
I mean,
because I'm still hoping I have a different father.
But you liked him all right?
Sorry?
You liked your father before? Was this like a
yeah, no, I actually recently, what is it? So he divorced my mom and now he lives in Halifax, not Halifax, but somewhere in Nova Scotia. So I'm headlining Halifax next month. And I made it a thing that I reached out to him like a few weeks ago to see if I could go see him. And he said it's not in his schedule. So I will, yeah, man, whatever. But I'm legitimately trying to now make the effort to get over whatever, you know?
Yeah, that's a no. That's a hard no. Because you're forcing him to look at the things that he wanted to hide for all of his life. He doesn't want it. Like our parents, then the generation up from us are so private. They don't even want to tell their own kids, you know, that they have, like my father doesn't want me to know what medications he's on, like everything is so private. It's so mind your business. And now you're going to go flaunt it in front of him.
I mean, yeah, there's also people are addicted to power. So sometimes like that could be, you know, just looked as a way of like, I have a power over him or power over anything. Who knows? Like we're just being skeptical and I don't want to paint the picture of anyone at this point because I don't care about that anymore. Fair. You know, like in the end, I had to deal with it myself and find a way to let it go because then that'll just, you know, bother me or make me act out. But yeah, it was a freaking ridiculous mind fuck. You know,
are you able to handle it now, or does it sound like you're still getting over it?
Well, I don't know. I think because I just put it aside. I don't even focus on it, and I feel like I'm a workaholic. So maybe that's.
But like those reminders when, like, hey, I'm gonna be in Halifax, and he's like, "Oh, look at you, fucking Detective Michael."
Yeah, right. I mean, obviously I'm trying to be a better person too, just as I grow, and I'm trying to focus on myself. So I know that you know, making the effort now is something I want to do with all my family members. I have a falling out with my brother too, so I sort of leave that, and that will definitely be the last one if I have to go through, you know, who I have to settle with. But yeah, like I decided to make the effort to try to reconnect with my father. And
Is this affecting your dating life? Are you dating right now?
Yeah, I am dating right now. Fair.
Dating?
I don't think it does affect it. My last 4 relationships were like 4 years apiece, I know, I never get past the 4-year mark.
That's a long time.
Sorry?
That's a long time.
I know. I'm actually pretty good at monogamy, and I do like the idea of it. My last one was sort of ridiculous because I shared an apartment in Astoria with a girl, and during the pandemic, she decided not to pay rent, which is fine. She was like, they can't force us. There'll be courts. That's going to be pushed back, whatever. And I'm like, great, but I'm going for citizenship, in like a year or two, just make sure none of this gets back to me because I'm going to pay you every month, right? So the place was $3,400 a month. Oof. And like we had another roommate. So I was like, I'm paying my share every month, no matter, because I need nothing to come back at me. So after 5 months of her not paying rent, they sued me, right? And my name wasn't even on the lease, but because I had to fill out my information to get the key, and she was ignoring all the court orders without telling me.
Oh my God.
They sued me. So I took it to her and she's like, I'm not going to pay that. Then she went to Italy the next day with her gay friend for a week. By the way, she was a nurse being paid at the second highest paying hospital in North America, right? She has money. So as soon as she did that, I went like, I was losing my mind. I'm like, I can't let anything with my citizenship. I just dropped it. I just broke up with her. And if anything, that is fucking with my dating life.
Holy shit.
Right?
Has this been cleared or done with, or
yes.
Are you still in this?
Well, I mean, I paid it all. I paid 15 grand. So I went down and covered it. I had to. I just can't have this on me or have any sort of record or anything. So
no, I feel you that no one's negating that, but holy shit, I get why you had to do that, but I assume you're not talking to her anymore.
That puts a strain on the relationship.
Yeah, no
Wait,
kidding.
so she came back and then had to like what? You had to break up with her when she came back and pack?
No, I texted her. I had no problem doing that. I know anyone's like, oh, you owe it to them to wait. Yeah, go to hell. She was in Italy for a week or two. She could go enjoy it in the nice Riviera. I don't give a damn.
Did you leave?
Huh?
Did you leave?
Yeah. When she was gone, I just left and changed apartments too. So I paid it, and that was my clean break.
Wow, that's so dramatic. When was that?
Last July.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the relationship okay before that, you think?
I mean, I liked her. Yeah. I thought that was good. She wanted kids. So that was like a little pressure there when you're in a pandemic to be like, no, my side was like, I think we need to wait to see how this pandemic thing plays out. So yeah, I wasn't totally, I love the idea of having kids, to be fair. But yeah, it was like definitely one of those time things of like, oh no, let's not look at that right now.
Is there a common denominator with your exes other than the 4 years? What would they say was hard to date about you?
Yeah, it's so funny, man. First off, the first 2, it was definitely my fault. I was trying to be, a stand-up comedian, so you're scared in relationships. Like when you're not proven, because this is such a weird field. And
what does that manifest?
No, not that it manifested. I'm like extremely honest about it, but it was those girls didn't care. You know what I mean? Like they were also absolute nurturers. If anything, I'm attracted to nurturers. So they had great jobs and they loved me for who I was and absolutely everything. But in the end, like myself, I didn't feel comfortable. Because after a certain amount of time, you have to go to another step. And I was like, I feel like I'm just not going to be a fucking good boyfriend. I'm scared of that. And my job's going to possibly hurt me. And I don't know how flexible I am to leave this, like I am addicted to this thing. So to be fair, I did break up with the first 2, mostly out of fear. It just came to that point where that fear came up. And I didn't.
Holy shit. Hold on a second. Keith, I don't think you've ever felt that fear before, right? You're like, oh, everything's going great. I got to leave. I've not known you for that.
No, things are going bad for me. I wasn't a touring comedian or anything. I was doing side jobs to keep my comedy up.
Somebody supporting you and loving you through that, knowing that someday it will happen you said, I'm not good enough for this. Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, I'm going to disappoint you. I'm so scared to disappoint and to go further.
I got to adopt that a little more, right? Like, no.
Sorry?
I got to adopt this whole, like, no, it's okay that you love me and want to take care of me.
I mean, that's what it feels like. Third one.
You ever eat ice cream and you're halfway through and you're like, you know what? This is too good. And you throw it in the garbage.
I'm going to disappoint this ice cream. This ice cream, I'm going to regret it's in my mouth. It's going to be like, I don't want to be in someone else's mouth, right? So I'm just going to throw it out because it probably would be unhappy being in my body.
Are you monogamous now or dating?
Dating now. Yeah. Carefully. But third one, third girl was sweetheart. That's when I got the comedy special. Everything in my life actually sort of hit, and I was doing making bank, cruise ships, all that stuff. So I was pretty comfortable with who I was, so I could do that one. And then, that one that one also sort of went down the gutter, but it was hilarious because like after I broke up with her over another like long side thing that we don't need to get into, she messaged me, I think 6 months later, asking me to get back with her, right? And the biggest problem with that one was yet again stand-up. I was traveling a lot. She really hated that, right? So 6 months later, she's like, I think maybe we should get back together. And I was like, I'm not sure if this is the minute to, look at that decision right now. And she felt embarrassed. And then she was engaged a month later. She was with another guy at the time she asked me that, which is what I suspected during the end of our relationship. Which is fine. But what was odd about it was a pilot. Fucking who travels more than a comedian than a pilot? And he looked like me. It was insane. So what a weird Facebook stalk when you're like, good for her. I'll be supportive. Who's she with? Oh my God. Right? Like, oh my God. For real. So
she was trying to see. So she was trying to see if she should split up with this guy if you say yes. Otherwise, she's just gonna go through with this thing, right?
Yeah, who knows at this point? I don't know what any of that.
Why are people not scared that other people will say their shit? Like why?
Right.
I don't know. Why is there no fear in that person? You know why? Because we're all here with decorum. We're not going to be like, and screenshot and sending it to your current person because I don't care for that drama. I don't want to, whatever your life is. But wouldn't it be interesting if that's how we responded? Now I got to tell your boyfriend.
Yeah. Well, whatever. In the end, it's like, I understand that people like to have sex. People like to go explore possibilities and bang a bunch. Even when you're in a relationship, you're still going to notice there's another person that's attractive. That doesn't turn off. You know what I mean? So I forgive all that. Like if that happened at all in my relationships or whatnot, I think it's just usually the honesty part where you're like, just tell me what the hell's going on. Like what a weird thing to put me on blast for my traveling for something I love that makes me the person you enjoy, right? Because I wouldn't be happy if I wasn't doing what I loved. And therefore I'm a better person to anyone I'm around. But
I picture Michael in therapy, and the therapist has to have like a bell, and anytime Michael goes blah blah blah, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess it was fucking horrendous, which is fine.
Yeah.
All right. So here's what you want to do. You want to download Michael's podcast. It's called Character Debates. I was confused about Kyle's show because I thought I read that your season concluded. Is that correct? Are you a seasons guy?
I guess so. Just because like 26 makes it a year, and then it's easier to divide. So in 2 weeks nothing changes. We just decided to call it a season to make it more. We're trying marketing things. All right, Keith, we don't have a super successful following like you yet. All right. We're doing all right, but we're not Keith and the girl successful. I was going over like you got fans in Zimbabwe, right? I would die for Zimbabwe fans. Anyone from Zimbabwe watching this, give us a shot. Right. Come on, man. I want to do a Zimbabwe tour. And that's the point of my podcast is to get there, right?
And you could see Michael's stand-up that he was just talking about his specials online.
I also got another special coming out, I think, next month on Dry Bar. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I liked hearing you say, my dad, he was, speaking of nature and nurture, he was good with his hands. Me, if my toilet breaks, I have to move.
Thank you.
I hear you. I'm like, oh, the drawer came out of my chest of drawers. I'm like, I think this place is done.
Yeah, I know. It is true, though. My hands are super soft. Like, like coming from, mid Canada, everyone chopping wood and stuff, and I'm just softy pillow hands. That should be my nickname.
So here's the thing. If you're listening, share the show. That's the big thing. And if you're in Zimbabwe, make sure you say hi to Michael.
Please.
We appreciate when you click that share button, whatever that means to you. And we appreciate it very much. Michael, thanks for your time.
Yeah, Keith, it was a blast. Thanks for having me. Yeah. Chemda, absolute pleasure meeting you as well.
Yes, me too.
That was a close one, right?
Yeah.
Right?
You were about to lose all your Zimbabwe fans, but
I was like worried about your name. So I did
no, I felt it. I know.
Or I did the swallow. I'm like, let's try it. I was just getting the courage. So I took the pause after I said Keith and like, all right, this is my first time. Let's see if I get it. So,
you did good, but I recognize that pause from teachers reading the roster. Like, is Keith here? Is Michael here?
This episode could end up in a blowout if I get that name wrong. You'd be what are you doing? And then another 20 minutes of let's invade Canada.
But
the teacher would pause, right? Like, and you're just like, yes, I'm here.
Yeah. I know it's too hard. I know as a teacher, you didn't do your homework and read the roster and then figure it the fuck out before you come into class. That should be homework. Teachers, okay, just really quick. Teachers, if you're listening, your homework before the first day of school is to figure out how every single child pronounces that name, the nicknames, whatever. I think that's important. I didn't get to hear my name, and I went to fucking yeshiva for 9 years. So let's get it. Let's get it right.
It's important. It's about identity. Anyway, thanks again for listening to Keith and the Girl, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. KeithAndTheGirl.com